Right. So everyone, welcome to this session entitled "Environmental Peace Building in University Programs," sponsored by the Education Interest Group. And this session marks the continuation of a discussion members of the interest group have been having since October last year. And during that month, we convened 4 sessions under the general title Education in Environmental Peace Building, from Learning to Practice. The topics discussed were 4. One was essential elements for, of course, environmental peace building. The second was beyond the textbook, effective options for teaching environmental peace building. The third was identifying and teaching required skills. And the fourth was tips for teaching environmental peace building classes remotely, asking, is it possible to do this effectively? So in some ways, what we are doing here is a continuation of that conversation, and we're really excited to have people beyond the interest group or who were not able for one reason or another to attend the sessions in October to contribute. And speaking personally from what I've heard over the last 2 days in terms of the conference, I hear, there are people who've been speaking at all of these different sessions, so I want to rope them into this to have a discussion about how is it possible that we can not just roll out environmental peace building in university programs, but in teaching and training programs at different levels from grade schools into boardrooms and in international institutions and so on. So we can have a bit of a broader conversation about that if the panel and if the participants want to go in that direction. I just need to share my screen for a second. To just highlight the fact of this compliance reminder, that by registering and participating in this event, you agree to abide by the NPAC's anti-discrimination, harassment, and retaliation policy. I've posted the link to it in the chat, and I encourage you to have a look at that at some point during this conference. All right. I'm not going to introduce the speakers to us for 2 reasons. One, you can see their affiliations in the program, and 2, each will situate themselves in the field of environmental peace building through a bit of personal history. And I'd like to, I'll just tell you how the session flows. The session flows as follows. We're going to turn it over to the panelists in seriatim. They're going to have a short round focused on their personal histories of engagement with this topic. Then they will, following that, we will then have each participant speak to one aspect of that for, I'd say 3 to 5 minutes. Then we'll have a roundtable discussion amongst ourselves around a series of questions that we've kind of massaged and predetermined a little bit ahead of time, which should then get the audience's juices flowing, where we will then, I hope, have about 20 to 30 minutes for a Q&A from the audience. You're also encouraged to ask questions in Zoom. I will try to monitor that, and as will the participants, because if you have a direct question to one of the particular participants, it's a good idea for you to answer that directly, if you can, and if not, I'll raise that orally so that we can have a bit of perhaps a back and forth, which would be even better. Okay. My name's Larry Swatek. I'm at the University of Waterloo. I'm actually in Sackville, New Brunswick right now. I have a position also at the University of the Western Cape in South Africa, in the Institute for Water Studies. I've worked in the peace building making area, I suppose, through my long engagement with primarily sub-Saharan Africa, but laterally Asia and Latin America, and increasingly in Canada. We have a lot of serious issues here as well. And that's all I need to say about myself. I want to turn it over to our eminent. How were you described yesterday, Erica? You were described as a founding member, right? Founding member of the Environmental Peacebuilding Association. Personally speaking, I don't know where this idea came from, but this is an amazing initiative. I think we all agree on that. And I think our goal in this session today is to really try to contribute to already the strides that have been made in trying to define the field and try to work out how we mix policy and practice, theory and so on. So, right. So what we're going to do at the moment is I'm just going to go around the table and to ask you each to tell me how you became involved in the field and what resources and or professors and or courses were most influential and helpful for them. So to try to zero in on the practice side and how you came into this field, what organizations and networks are most helpful for you now as you continue your work in this field. So that's the same question I'm going to ask across all panelists. So Erica, let's start with you.
Just thinking about that question gives me like heart palpitations, because all of a sudden I realize that my genesis goes back probably to before many people were born on this Zoom page. So I, in high school, was interested in nuclear weapons. That was it. I was going to study US-Soviet relations, nuclear policy. I had a teacher who taught me Russian one-on-one. So that is the person who has been the most influential in my life. We used to walk around town and she would teach me words in Russian, and she would, introduce me to poetry, to Anna Akhmatova. And from there, I went to school, going to study Soviet environment. And I was in Moscow the day the Berlin Wall came down. And working with environmentalists, I was at an environmental conference. I was the only American that somehow ended up at this conference in Moscow in the middle of the winter with young students from the entire Soviet bloc. And it was a metallurgical conference. Don't even ask me how I got there. And we would sit up late at night talking about environmental issues. And the minute the wall came down, it was an unexpected opportunity to continue to engage with young environmentalists in the Eastern Bloc. I went to visit the following year, and then I went to graduate school, convinced that I was going to study the birth of the environmental movement and just different mechanisms for activism. And as the Soviet Union collapsed, I was always interested in water. I actually wrote my first paper on the RLC as an undergrad in a geology class and did not do very well on that paper, but then wrote a dissertation on water cooperation and conflict in the RLC basin. And that's really how I became involved in the field. We didn't call it environmental peacebuilding back then, but because the environment didn't exist when I was in grad school, I should say. We had no classes on the environment. We had no professors who taught the environment. It was from the ground up. I had a cohort of fellow grad students, and we would get together and have a reading group. And so it was really, being able to engage with like-minded grad students. We had faculty who said, okay, this sounds interesting. We know nothing, do it. But it wasn't a field where you had senior mentors that could help guide your work. So this is a very different phase in the study of the environment. It has having a actual name for what we study, what we work on. And I was really looking at the role of water and how it affected, peace and security at that time. But as I said, we didn't have the grammar or the language for defining what we were doing. So I will stop there, but I'm always happy to answer questions and talk about this progression at any other time.
Sure. That's great. And I think I suspect we'll hear that a lot, especially for the older generation, how I think we somehow backed into this, right? And found ourselves all in a room together. And that's, so that's, kind of an accidental happenstance, right? It's more, and can we turn it around and become more deliberate is an interesting question. Sabrina, let's go to you as the young one, who was probably not born when Erica got started in this. So, can I ask you the same question about how you became involved in the field?
Hi, Larry. Thank you. I'm not sure that I am the youngest one here, but I would say that I am at least more or less, well, I've been a couple of years already active in the field. So how did I become involved with environmental peace building? I would say that, well, I was born in Colombia. So, and like during a period of time where the conflict was very, very violent. So I was personally very interested in really understanding what was happening in the country, right? So this is why I decided to study political science with a focus on conflict resolution and peace building in Bogota. And being there, studying political science, I kind of like started to understand the relevance of environmental factors throughout the conflict life cycle, right? And especially having Colombia as kind of like the context of where I could like transfer this analytical or theories that I was seeing in political science and then trying to understand them using the context, is that I kind of like, started to see the relevance of these links, right? Because in Colombia, of course, the issue of rivers, the issue of forests, of land has been like very important to also understand the conflict, no? However, back then, when I was studying political science, there wasn't really like a class that taught these different links between environment, conflict, and peace building. So this is why I decided to also enroll in a master's on environmental governance here in the University of Freiburg in Germany, where, for example, classes like environmental sociology or environmental human-environment interactions or environmental conflict management and participation really kind of like allowed me or gave me like an initial glimpse of how these different links work. However, it wasn't really until my internship during this 2-year master program that I really became like more directly involved with the field, because I did my internship at the disasters and conflict branch of UNEP. And there I met David Jensen and I was introduced to the environmental peace building program. And I started to support the creation of the MOOC on environmental security and sustaining peace. And then through this work, I then got introduced to Carl and to the Environmental Peace Building Association. And I started to then more actively work as a volunteer on different topics in the organization. No? So I was working in the MOOC, facilitating some, like when the course first started, I was facilitating some parts of the content of this course. I was also supporting translations. Then I joined the team, the organization team for the first Environmental Peace Building Conference, and I've participated in different activities ever since. And regarding your question about, for example, networks that have been very key to stay connected into the field, I would say that the Environmental Peace Building Association has definitely been key for me to stay active in the field. And spaces like this, of course, of meeting like-minded people working in similar topics as mine has been super, super key. I'll leave it like that.
Right, thank you. So Nicola, let's go to Mexico.
All right, Nicola from Mexico, right?
Yeah.
All right. So originally from Serbia, right? But already for the past 8 years, I live and work in Mexico at University Tecnológico de Monterrey. I'm assistant professor. And logically for many, coming from Serbia for, as Sabrina mentioned, conflict rage society and direct society, I also got the chance personally to experience many different elements of the conflict cycles and post-conflict peace building, transition, democracy, human rights trainings, capacity building, and so on, not only from the conflict-burdened societies, but also moving and transitioning from autocratic dictatorship, right, to wannabe democracy. So that what led me, of course, to study political science and international relations without much insight into environment, climate change, or even sustainable development for the sake of matter, as we were really focused on some core topics. There was no faculty that could provide us with this knowledge. And actually one course that we took on green political parties is one of those optative courses that only a few students go for, and usually with professors who are not core faculty, they are usually marginalized and not considered to be the center faculty at university, which means they have less access to resources, to research, less opportunities, and doesn't make it for attractive course to take. But I moved to Mexico 8 years ago, and then one part of what pushed me. So the zone, the area where I feel most comfortable still is area of foreign policy, IR theories, international relations theories, and to a certain point, conflict management, negotiations and conflict management. But it was 4 or 5 years ago that, as a consequence of what was happening in society, as increasing interest actually of my students, when I talked to them about the risks and the challenges of the future, it all pushed me to dig into new area of studies. And I was in the beginning exploring, and now for the rest of the people to understand, this is coincidental, what I'm about to say right now. We didn't plan this out, and probably people are not even aware of it, what I'm going to say right now, but it was 2018, I went to International Studies Association annual convention, right? And that convention in 2018, I decided to entirely ignore my field of study and to dig into a new one. I opted for all panels, roundtables, innovative panels, and so on that dealt with environmental change, climate change, and that's how I ended up in the panel with Erika Weinthal, right? I didn't scroll, I didn't really search for profiles of people. I focused on topics, descriptions, and so on in the agenda. And there was an innovative panel on environmental studies speed mentoring, right? And there was Erika there. I only made the connection later on, Erika. But I didn't memorize people, I didn't memorize names. I went for and I really enjoyed it. It was a genuine moment in which I was not really fed up with what I was doing, but I found out that the new area is exciting me, right? And it kind of academic needs to do something that you are going to feel yourself, it's going to feel good about yourself and what you are doing, and beneficial for my students. Within a year, then I took a course, equally as Avrina, the MOOC on environmental security and sustaining peace. Then that's where I met Carl. That's why I found out about Environmental Peace Building Association. And one thing just led to other. Every single minute of my free time I used to learn more, to slowly integrate those new elements into my classes. I'm still at the beginning. So for many people who are here, even though I'm teaching already for 15 years, in this area, I am entirely new. However, I joined the NPACs already 2 years ago, and last year I engaged more in the work of the education interest group, the one that is putting together this roundtable. And I was welcomed among the people with whom I immediately connected, and today I feel almost as my friends. Easy going learning curve, only going up from the conference and from the actually sessions and that we are together participating in. Particularly the last year that we had a series of the conferences, of the workshops that Larry spoke about in the introduction. The platforms that I still benefit from are, of course, the ongoing. I'm not my formal foundations and build up in the area is still kind of being shaped more informally than formally through the MOOCs on SDG Academy platform, connected with the edX on Coursera, and increasingly from the Environmental Peace Building Association. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Nicola. You know, what I'm hearing here is a theme of like there's an interest based, right? That you reside in societies in conflict and or post conflict, and you're struggling for some to make sense of this and ways forward, and but at the same time struggling with the existing concepts and theories that you're finding in your own, you know, and what programs you're in. Sometimes landing on a special course that, you know, Nicola, for example, you just mentioned, you know, some marginalized, not mainstream, somebody teaching some funny thing, special topics courses, and so on. You know, that's where you have historically found these things, right? And I think one of the questions that we need to, once we get through the first part of this roundtable, is to reflect on, you know, in academia, you know, where does environmental peace building reside? Where should it reside? You know, I think we all implicitly think about, you know, we think we know where it does and should reside, but I think, you know, to have an open conversation about that is really important, especially when you're trying to, you know, when it is blatantly transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary in its nature. Noemi, can you please give us?
Yes, thank you so much. I think you are muted, but I think I got that it's now my turn to introduce myself. So I'm going to. My name is Noemi, and I'm super honored to be on this panel here today because I'm still a student and an activist and hopefully a future educator. And I came in touch with the topic of environmental peace building through the Young Rapporteur project of the road, which should have led us all to Geneva, but which now brought us here together, which I'm also super grateful for. So I currently study international and European law as a Bachelor of Laws at the Hague University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. And it was actually through my university that I was made aware of the Young Rapporteurs program, and therefore also to the topic of environmental peace building. For 9 months last year, I had the opportunity to be introduced to the field, and I was a member of the Human Rights and Environmental Peace Building group of the Young Rapporteurs, and it was mentored by the amazing Dr. Stavros Pantazopoulos, who's now, I think, the head of the law interest group of the Environmental Peace Building Association. And I'm super happy to share more about my experience as a young rapporteur in that program. But most of all, I think that with my presence here at the panel, I want to encourage students and young professionals who might be listening to this to keep learning about the nexus between their fields of interest and environmental peace building, because I think that there's so much, like so many interdisciplinary things that we can all profit from. And yeah, I acknowledge that I'm still new to this field, but it has been incredibly insightful to be a part of the education interest group for now, and to have those conversations yesterday and the beginning of the conference during the social hour. So I'm really looking forward to this panel, both as a student, but also just as someone who is observant of current events, as someone who's been engaging in education and activism. And yeah, I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
You know, that's really great. You know, you said 2 key points there. One is activism, right? As an activist, and I think there's an activist element to you know what we're doing, but also youth, and I think the opportunity to roll out environmental peace building in secondary, tertiary, primary education. There's a co-creation of knowledge capacity here. You know, we span several decades on this panel. And so there's that ability to, you know, there's no expert telling you exactly how it must be, right? I think there's something that we could build on with that too. Alejandra.
Thank you. Well, my history getting to this field is very similar to Sabrina, because I'm also Colombian, but it differs in the way that I approach it as an environmentalist, because I studied ecology. Mm-hmm. So I did have during my university program, I studied ecology here in Colombia, and we did have a lot of classes and courses regarding environmental and social issues, and they were pretty holistic and pretty comprehensive about the context that we are in this country. So from that early stages of my education, I did have a little bit of this view of what could be done. However, I didn't engage in the field after I graduated. I graduated almost 6 years ago, 2016. That is exactly in the time that the peace agreement was being signed. So there was a lot of this topic being talked about, and when the agreement was shown to all the citizens to read and to talk about with some coworkers, some colleagues, we started reading it and seeing that it had a lot of rural development approaches and also land tenure issues, but it didn't talk environmental topics as a center of the conflict. That it's okay, but we saw this as a risk and as an opportunity regarding the context that we're in. A lot of other panelists are going to talk about this more in other sessions, but what we did with my colleagues is to create a program that was called Ecology for Peace, and this program resulted in a project that was financed by the European Union, and it was called Weavers of Peace, and it was presented in the first conference, in the first international conference. And with this project, we worked especially with high schools and with 3 specific approaches: environment, reconciliation, and pedagogy. So within this, I think that was experience that shaped me up as a practitioner that I consider myself now in the field. And for these resources that you are asking us for to share with our audience today, it was a lot of informal education that complemented my academic experience. So my older sister, she worked with an NGO for a lot of like more than 10 years that's called Observatorio para la Paz, or the Peace Observatory. And with learning from that experience, they had a lot of pedagogical experience. And there are other NGOs that shaped me up to, or made me to look up and be creative and complement my own academic experience to have these tools to approach these very complex issues in the country. Later on, I started working with other local NGOs and national NGOs regarding environmental governance with grassroots communities, and also with equity in conservation initiatives. But I think that this peace building and this pedagogical experience for peace building or environmental peace building is like a print of who I am as a professional. And I think that's something that's very rich to have in your toolbox, to have these different pedagogical experiences to bring up talking to the table, even if you're working just for conservation initiatives, but you have also a more broad view of what a conservation initiative means, and how can it be more participatory, more equitable, and create more peaceful spaces within the environmental community too. So that's more or less of how I got into the field.
Thank you, Alejandra. Lots of things there that echo what others have said, but also really interesting aspects about where, like, the NGO influence, I think, is also another element that we bring into this, about how who is environmental peace building education for? How do we reach them? Is it a two-way street, and so on? Last but not least, in our introductory round, Bilal, nice to see you.
Hi, hello everyone. So my name is Bilal Islam. I'm from Pakistan, and it's great to be here. And I was introduced to Environmental Peace Building Association a couple of years ago, and I got membership. And it was one of the best decisions I made, because I made so many contacts, so many I contacted with so many people who are experts in this area. And before that one, while I was doing my master's from Pakistan in international relations, so my topic of dissertation was environmental degradation as an issue of human security. So while I was doing some literature review, so I came across that book by Professor Ken Concadit's book, Environmental Peacemaking. So while I was, going through that book, the idea of using environmental issues as a catalyst for peace was something that was so amazing for me. So I decided to explore it further and take it as a topic for my PhD dissertation later on. So in Pakistan, I shifted from my major from international relations to South Asian studies because of the fact that I wanted to get more liberty in terms of, intersubjectively kind of thing that I was going to do. So again, I don't see many of the people in academic community in Pakistan who are working in this area. Probably there are a few people from Pakistan who are based in US, for example, Professor Salim Ali. I met him last year. And the best thing was that previous year I was able to, get a fellowship and come to US. And during that period, I met amazing people. I met Professor Ken Punka, I met Professor Salim Ali, and it was amazing, quite a learning experience. I met Professor Karl. Thank you so much for your insights. These meetings, they actually enhanced my knowledge base. And then I was part of the discussions by this group, this education interest group. So again, I'm very new to this field. I'm as a student, I want to share my experience that and how I have felt how I can develop those kind of skills, or maybe get more enhance my knowledge in this particular field. And then maybe I'm one of the few first scholars in Pakistan who are working in this domain. So right now I am exploring the idea of efficacy of this framework in India-Pakistan context. The main motivation behind that was in 2015 when there was a conference in Paris, COP21. And at that time, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Pakistan's then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, they met there. The whole media was highlighting the fact that these two states who have a history of animosity and rivalry, most of you may know that, they were sitting on the same sofa, they were exchanging views, they shook hands, and then the global media was pointing out on the fact that environmental issues and the mutual vulnerabilities that India and Pakistan they're facing, they are the reason that these two head of the states, they are sitting together and trying to talk on the issues to maybe come up with some joint mechanism in future. So that was one of the most important reasons for me to explore it further academically, and then I'm doing my thesis in this particular area, PhD dissertation, and that's my introduction. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bilal. Again, we are, there's a motivation around, it's your lived environment is shaping your interest, right? And you're looking for relevant tools to help you, move something in a particular direction. Right? Clearly, there's a normative aspect to environmental peace building, and how, and so what do you do? Because there's a normative element, it suggests that there's action, and then that raises questions about appropriate action, and that raises questions about theories and practice and what, whose values matter, that Ken talked about in the plenary previously. So, so I think, there's a lot to puzzle through here in terms of if we were to build a curriculum, what would that look like? So I'd like to now go back to Erica and, have her reflect a little bit on the development of the MOOC that was created for the association, and give us a sort of an insight. I see Carl is here, so be careful what you say, but a little behind the scenes challenges and opportunities would be fantastic. Erica.
Sure. And I will say, nothing happens without Carl behind the scenes driving everything. So, if anything, we should all be applauding Carl, not just for helping to, build the association, the conference, but also many of the educational materials that have been generated over the last few years have really had a Carl Brook, stamp on them. And I will say that in the sense, as academics, like as an academic, I am sort of tunnel vision. I want to get to the field. I want to write an article. That's the metrics that I work in the university. But part of the reason, I work in the field of environmental peace building is because it is an applied field. And as someone who's trained as a formal political scientist, I chose not to be in a political science department because I wanted to be in a professional school that emphasized applied research. And so this is, I think, one of the, why the MOOC came about in many ways is this connection to practitioners and to policymakers of being able to translate the knowledge base that so many of us have accumulated in our respective institutions. And it is in the academy, it is in international organizations, it is in think tanks, it's in government, it's in NGOs, and trying to bring all of that knowledge together in conversation and making it accessible through a new medium to a broader audience. One of the things I've learned over the years is no one really wants to read my 10 to 15,000 word essay. They would like a 3,000 word policy brief, or the MOOC was another way of making information accessible, and it was pushing people like me outside of my comfort zone and having to, be taped and, present information in a very succinct manner that was also useful and policy relevant. And so, one could go to the Environmental Peacebuilding website. I plugged this yesterday. There's all the volumes that have come out on, different types of natural resources and post-conflict environmental peacebuilding that really generated lessons learned. But then taking, some of that knowledge from those volumes and other knowledge and thinking about how one, could synthesize it into 4-minute modules. And so no one would have to read the entirety of a book, but could go and say, I am really interested in conflict sensitivity, or I am really interested in the drivers of violent conflict, or empowering women in natural resource management, and pick the specific topic that you want to dig into much deeper. And I think that is the power of the MOOC. I don't know how long its lasting power will be, but for very short, succinct, introductions to a lot of the topics in environmental peacebuilding, especially for those who may work, say, in peacebuilding generally, but have never thought about the environment, or who have been in the environmental field and never thought about the connections to peacebuilding. This provides an opening, and I would hope then from there we will help to, expand our knowledge base. And so I think that in many ways was the excitement of creating this massive online course. I want to thank Sabrina too for all your help too, and everyone else who might have contributed throughout the whole process.
Erica, can I just push you a little bit and ask you about like how did you set parameters around content?
Everything should have probably been less. And then there's Carl saying, we need to do more. We need to add this. We need to add that. And that's the same with the volumes. We could have had 2 volumes, but then we have 6, I don't know, because it's so parameters, I don't think it's, I think it's more about making sure that we are trying to be as comprehensive as possible. The parameters are really in the editing process, in trying to weed out unnecessary information and making it as tight as possible. And also having, a budget and a time frame by which things have to be done. But you know, I really think, you know, we were trying to cover as much as we could until we were told we no longer had any additional time and that it needed to go live.
Right. So I find that interesting.
Carl wants to jump in. Maybe Carl has and wants to contribute to parameters.
Okay, go ahead, Carl.
Just specifically on the scope of the MOOC, we had a broad consultative process. We had a number of meetings in person and otherwise. They're saying what should be in here, what are the key messages, what are the examples, and that actually led to an outline that was 3 times as long as the final MOOC. And we took the first third as the introduction. That proved to be, it was 6 hours of solid video. And I mean, when I say solid, these are in 8 to 12 minute chunks. So it's, and each thing is a topic. So there was a lot of material in those 6 hours. And I think that proved to be too much. And so what we are currently thinking about doing is maybe developing a series of supplemental mini MOOCs of 1 hour to 2 hours of material. So here's the basic, and now let's talk about water before, during, and after conflict, because it has particular natural resource properties that make it more amenable to certain elements of peace building, or land, or conflict sensitive programming. So kind of taking more discrete pieces and having it be choose your own adventure. Which mini MOOCs do you want to take, rather than doing it as a bigger chunk?
Okay, all right. Thanks for that. So let me turn now to Sabrina, because Sabrina, you know, as a student, you know, you face challenges to develop studies in the environmental peace building field, and so, you know, having heard what we've talked a little bit about now, like, what is how can you give us a bit of insight on your thinking around this?
Sure. So yeah, as you already said, I am a student. I am basically a PhD student at the moment. And I've also been involved as a teaching assistant at the master's program that I also was a student a couple of years ago. And so that is basically why I decided to talk today about some of the challenges that we as students face in trying to get involved in the environmental peace building field, right? And for the contribution today, I really wanted to focus or go a bit more in depth into the challenges related to content and to skills that students really feel that are missing from environmental peace building related courses, right? And that, I mean, if we're talking about university programs or environmental peace building in a university program, this should try to address, or these challenges should be addressed so that we can then, of course, support this next generation of environmental peace builders, right? So kind of like to give a bit of a perspective to my input as well as a student. I also kind of like conducted brainstorming sessions with a couple of students that are enrolled as master's students currently at this master's program where I teach, and that have, I would say, a direct relation to the field of environmental peace building as well. So they know and they knew what I was talking about when I was inquiring about content and skills. So yeah, this is basically the input that I'm going to be sharing with you. But before that, I would really like to thank Diego, Erika, Giovanni, and Vincent for their incredible input. And I hope that all of your suggestions are represented here. So first, regarding content, we discussed that, at least in our master's program and also in where we studied our bachelor's, there is still kind of a lack of clarity of what environmental peace building actually is all about, right? So we were discussing about this need to maybe provide more examples of how environmental peace building looks on the ground, right? To talk about, for example, what practitioners are doing on the ground, like Alejandra, right? It would be great to bring Alejandra to a classroom and so that she can talk about her initiative, right? But we also, and I mean, this is already criticism that we know that it is not, it's done to environmental peace building, and it is also that we lack a bit this suitable analytical tools so that students can assess these experiences, and also, of course, via reports or master's thesis, then produce new and relevant knowledge for the field. We also discussed about the need to include more diversity of voices, right? I mean, I think that although this is gradually changing, at least in academia, the environmental peace building is still very much focused on the global north, right? And universities and organizations localized in the global north. And we were discussing about also that it could be very interesting if we could, in a syllabi, for example, reconstruct different understandings and ways of practicing environmental peace building, and also teach this, because this is very, very, very relevant to also kind of like have a big map of what environmental peace building is actually about. And related to that, we also talked about the need to dig a bit deeper into the critical perspectives of environmental peace building. So dig deeper into the dark side of environmental peace building, right? So where it has failed and why, but also to offer students with a positive perspective in the field, right? So also talk about the good things, talk about where it has succeeded, why it has succeeded, which project implemented which methods, so that students can also really understand how or what's the potential of environmental peace building. Regarding skills, we mostly talked about this need to bridge theory and practice. I mean, as we know, environmental peace building fits itself a lot from the knowledge or the projects being done by organizations. So we were discussing about this importance of bringing some of this practice into the classroom, right? And we thought that this could be done by, for example, teaching methods that are applied in environmental peace building research and in practice. So, for example, we talked about that it could be interesting, for example, that an environmental peace building course taught multi-method research, right? So that students can learn how to do multi-method research in order to understand the really complexity of problems that are studied under this field of environmental peace building, but also to teach how practitioners do it in the ground, right? So for example, how does participation takes place in a local ground, right? How does mediation takes place in environmental peace building? These are all like important skills that students were talking to me that syllabi should include. Another point is also to facilitate, for example, collaborative research projects where, I mean, I think this is important because in this sense, students can engage directly with organizations doing work on environmental peace building, but at the same time, they can practice as well what environmental peace building or what we talk about when we're talking about peace building, right? Environmental peace building. And this is also a way where we can facilitate this knowledge transfer between academia and practice. And my last point, this is not really a skill, but I think this is something that we as environmental peace builders or scholars in the field, we shouldn't forget, and is that we should facilitate access to the environmental peace building field, right? Facilitate access to the students by, for example, sharing lists of organizations or university programs that are working in the field, and also offering or like talking, being more transparent about funding options, right? If a student is, for example, wanting or is interested to do an internship, but the internship doesn't offer any funding options, or if a student wants to do field work or, for example, start a PhD, as myself, it took me a long time to find a funding option, right? We should also share this resources that we have at hand, so that we can also offer a perspective to the new generation. Yeah,
thanks a lot, Sabrina. That's fantastic. I think there's kind of marching orders there. You know, you've kind of outlined. Is there a report attached to this? Are you reporting on a report, or is this just the students canvassed?
Yeah, just basically the result of this brainstorming session that I did with them. Mm-hmm.
Right, but there was you didn't get them to write a report or compile a report after. I think that'd be a really good idea. So there's your next, your next step. All right, Nicola, can I turn to you for 3 minutes to give us your thoughts on
Thank
this?
you. I'm going to connect directly to what Sabrina mentioned as the last point, as what we are trying to do at the Education Interest Group. What we will be doing in the next months is compiling a database of all the programs that are teaching environmental peace building in a way as a course or actually a degree. And actually what came out yesterday from the social hour gathering and linked within the Education Interest Group with the youth professionals is also to compile a list of scholarship opportunities, either scholarship open, right, for the projects, or actually directly linked to the programs itself. And with the help of Carl, we want to put that on our website, so that we have it accessible for the young members or anybody who is interested in the field. So that's one thing that I just wanted to connect. So my also a special shout out to Carl. Just to build up on what Erika mentioned, is that when I was getting lost in shifting my career and figuring out where I want to go, building up and learning a lot of new area, but you know how when you don't have the formal background in it, you start getting lost because environmental peace building is so many things, right? Larry actually often points that out. I reached out to Carl. And I said, okay, I'm going to send an email, and then what happens out of it? And Carl answered immediately the same day, and the next week we were, like I was telling you, you are one of those academic superstars because of the mock, even though we don't know each other, right? That's how I was feeling. And he separated 2 hours of his time. This is not necessarily an invitation for all of you to text, email Carl, but actually to reach out to the different representatives of the Environmental Peacebuilding Association as you find that maybe there is some connectivity in between what the rest of the people are doing and what you would like to find out. And that actually gave me so many, that relatively short meeting via Zoom, actually I'm using it as an orienteer in what I want to do with all of this. So when it comes to my experience in building the programs, when it comes to environmental peace building, it's very hard in Mexico, in my university. Hard because there's not enough of faculty, there's not enough of training. We are very much focused on teaching. There is only special kind of few people who are focused a lot on research, more traditional topics or more related to kind of Mexican circumstances and the context. So we have been hearing throughout different panels in these days that education and training is a big problem. Today in the panel session, we heard from our experienced practitioners that the big problem is actually training those ones who are practitioners. So by building up educational foundations, we can assure that the future practitioners are actually having this small bell ringing there on environmental peace building. So while now we are trying, probably there are people who are trying to bridge this gap with more senior and experienced practitioners working for international organizations and peace builders, actually building up from the ground is guaranteeing that eventually when the new generation of practitioners comes to the place, they have the background in environmental peace building. But the question is how long we can wait, because there are new threats and risks rising up as we can be hearing. So we have to actually speed up. And we can be hearing this morning in the panel, speeding up and scaling up all these environmental peace building undertaking. So in my case, the big problem, for example, is to convince my leaders that this is something good. As I build syllabus and curriculum, depending on universities, you have certain set of freedom of how far you can go in the autonomy, right, of every single professor to shape and change the core of the syllabus, not to shift entirely the educational program. That's one of the problems that I'm facing. I reached out to the academics from the UNAM, which is the leading university from Mexico. I spoke with 4 or 5 of them who are working in the area. New people for me, actually. This led me to building up also network contacts here in Mexico. And it heavily depends. If they are teachers, 100% dedicated and not researchers, they experience more limits because they have a full load of teaching. Researchers who have less experience in teaching, they have some maneuvering space when it comes to shaping their curriculum and syllabus. but they don't have the formal training in environmental peace building. And it was relatively new, even though they could connect the ideas of what the topics might be that they are addressing. It was more sporadical. It was more accidental, actually, that they would be even thinking and not even mentioning at all environmental peace building, right? Which is a big problem of having these big institutions without institutional knowledge about it. And the big issue that I came across here in Mexico, and probably this refers also to the rest of the developing countries and Latin America, is access to resources. Whether it's money to organize more meaningful field work, to reach out to vulnerable communities and try to take students somewhere, or actually libraries. I mean, I remember myself also from Serbia, access updated material in our libraries is actually problematic. We don't necessarily have the money. I am lucky, I work at a private university, but I do know that in the rest of the big public universities, there is not such an easy access to the updated material in their libraries, right?
Can I stop you there, Nicola?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you raised some fantastic points, and it only took us an hour to get to say the word money, right? Because if we're talking about building programs and so on, there's always, we need capital in order to do that sort of thing, which raises questions about audience. Who is going to pay for this? Will universities under COVID are busy, strategizing about how to slash programs, not necessarily build them, unless they can bring industry and industrial money into the context, right? So there's a lot of questions around the possibilities. One I heard here too is so that NPACS is a kind of a nodal point. If we want to build a master's degree, like I work with Jeff Sachs out of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network and the Master Development Practice programs, and the SDSN built this global online master's degree. Maybe this is what we do, right? It sounds to me a little bit like environmental peace building and education. It can be rolled out in different ways, but if you want to be very targeted and specific about furthering the field, it sounds like the more senior levels, master's degree, PhD, as Erica said, the professional schools or the policy related schools may be the kind of the space for that, and so that's maybe, I don't know, Carl's probably already thought of this, but the mini MOOCs could end up being some kind of foundation for us to work toward an accreditation for a global Masters of Sustainable Development Practice like SDSN has built. So I think there's something to be thought about there. Let's switch gears a bit. Noemi, can you speak to us a little bit about your experience as a young rapporteur on the Road to Geneva project?
Yes, I'm happy to, and I would actually like to connect that to the topic that we've just been talking about, because as you all know now, I'm new to this field. I've been introduced to this field in the year 2020, and I've had this experience, like Nicola has mentioned before, that it's a learning curve that just goes up because you start getting educated in different fields. And I think that this is actually what environmental peace building has been for me so far. It's a broad field. You can find it in all different kinds of things. You can find it in business related topics and law related topics. And as I've mentioned before, I was part of the Human Rights and Environmental Peace Building group of the Young Rapporteur project. And there I got to learn things about, for example, the legal framework of environmental peace building. And through my mentorship by Dr. Stavros Pantazopoulos, I also had the chance to speak to amazing practitioners, to Professor Ken Conca, to Rachel Killian, but also, for example, to my own professor, Sylvia Chavar, who is a lecturer at my university and who will be speaking at a panel tomorrow as well about gender and environmental peace building. And all of these experience that I have accumulated now during the past 2 years actually just reminded me that not everyone has access to this. I was made aware of this through an email by my university, but what if someone cannot attend a university, or what if their university doesn't have the resources to share to share things about environmental peace building, what you've just previously mentioned. So what I find interesting to consider is also the topic of gatekeeping, because even though academics are important and it's important to have experts in this field and as much as in every other field, the environment and environmental peace building is so essential to our understanding of the world right now, I would say, and to how we deal with disputes and conflicts that are also arising due to environmental destruction. And I would also like to see how can environmental peace building reach someone who doesn't pursue an academic career. I always view this from two perspectives. I am German and Ghanaian. So in Germany, I grew up with people being aware of the environment and the environmental destruction, but being willfully oblivious to how important it is to deal with it. While on the other hand, in Ghana and Africa, people are already suffering the consequences without having the possibility to act upon it, without having the resources to act upon it and take action. And I think that putting environmental peace building in the center of different programs like a business program or international relations, of course, law, but every other thing as well is so essential for also bringing peace within different communities around the world and keeping the gates open for more people. So that's the point that I really wanted to raise.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And you know, I think that the question of whose knowledge, right? Knowledge for what and for whom, because as you were just saying about these different degree programs, I was also thinking about, well, you know, adult education is a perfect kind of location for these sorts of things, right? Reaching out to communities and again, so I'm thinking about you can take the content of MOOCs and have them shifted into an applied format and rolled out in local communities. Right now, I'm working with a group in South Sudan on water quality, developing community-based water quality capacity through trainings, and the challenge of trying to like, how do you pitch this? Whose knowledge matters? Those are key questions, right? So that's really fantastic. Thanks, Noemi. Alejandra, you're up. You said you're going to talk a little bit about the importance of trainings, which I think follows on directly from what we're talking about.
Yeah, we've talked a lot of the topics that I wanted to say within another perspectives. And I think that it's very interesting on how can we build a network more than how can we strengthen the professionals that are already professionals. Because we have like training academics can do it by their own, just like quote, like, yeah, not as specifically, but you can read, you can have a mock, you can have this and other ways of doing it. But why not to create a network when we can put more voices in it? And my first idea of what I was going to say is being changed and inspired by the things that you've been saying. And for example, I was thinking about how can we articulate, for example, the universities with NGOs or local communities with specific needs, and how we can create this network of knowledge. But when, of course, universities can put their academic knowledge in use for a specific need in a local community, and train students that are being trained in this field, that, for example, can do their internship and thesis. This is something that has been happening, but in an isolated situations. That just one student in one community. But why not to create like this comprehensive view, or this how to say that, like this like well structured initiative that a university can create, like a program, not a course, or like, yes, an intervention in a community or in a specific space where there could be this dialogue between community and academy, and also the people that it's been taking the course can be trained within this exploration, like a laboratory, a live laboratory, when you can create together, and this knowledge can be shared. And I think this is something that it's really been missing, and I think that's something that we need to question a lot is what is the role of the universities? It is maybe it is also only to teach new students and create these new people that go into the field and work. And I think that Erika said it very well, that this is something that is in practice, and universities need to rethink their role. And I think that my position here is a little biased because I'm not part of a university, and to say that without knowing it, with all the difficulties and the complexities that I know that the institution may have. But I think that it is important to start questioning the role that a university has and how it can be also a mediator, or it can be also support for communities, and also can advocate for communities within specific topics. And I think that creating or strategizing interventions in specific needs more than isolated activities could be very useful for the field, and for having more information on how environmental peace building is. I don't know if we are going to have a program of environmental peace building, because I think that what it is very rich about this is that we are very diverse, and I think that within this diversity, creating a specific program that it's environmental peace building will make us like create a category. And I think we are beyond categories, and I think that's the richness, and this is our challenge, but I think that it's also a richness. And I think that bringing this knowledge, local knowledge, academic knowledge, NGOs experience, can create like this network of how can we get and approach these organizations with another view, not that a traditional teach and then or study then practice. No, we can learn from different scenarios.
Sure, and you know, there's many, you know, all across all universities there are these kinds of you know, universities embedded in communities, engaged in practice in different kinds of programs, right? Often in silos. You know, in my own university, the, you know, internationalization is a theme, but the applied health science goes out into a space where faculty of environment is, and they don't even talk to each other, right? So it's possible here to, I hear the, you know, possibility of a call for a scoping, you know, some kind of a deep dive into the kinds of engagement that exists across possibly sympathetic programs, right? That we have environmental studies, development studies, disaster risk reduction. There was someone talked earlier today on the panel about gender and peace building, about how she built a course around her own interest on gender, conflict, and disaster risk reduction, but also noted that if you study gender and if you study conflict and if you study disaster risk reduction, they are different languages, different things, right? So, you know, so I think there's a real opportunity here for us to try to, you know, to find that, you know, where is that? Where are those networks, Alejandra, that you're asking for? Because I think in some cases they're there. And I think you would, if I asked somebody in my Master of Climate Change program at Waterloo, you know, are you doing, you know, do you know about environmental peace building? I think they intuitively think they are doing environmental peace building, right? So it's that kind of, you know, it's this shape-shifting thing that where is environmental peace building in universities that requires us to somehow do a systematic scoping of, you know, to find out where these things are and maybe to build that network that you're talking about. I don't know if this relates to Bilal's challenges of you know, the opportunities to study environmental peace building in Pakistan, but maybe you could, you know, build on that.
Yes, thank you, Larry. Actually, for me, as a student of environmental peace building, as a researcher, it was a bit challenging because, you know, as I told earlier, that in Pakistan, we don't have that much expertise available. Secondly, just I want to briefly add on the point that Naomi was talking about, that, you know, once you talk about the interdisciplinary nature of environmental peace building, so for research in environmental peace building to go through maybe a bit of law, maybe like if you're talking about a degree program for a university, it should be
Bilal, sorry, you're frozen. Don't know if you can hear us.
Maybe to ask him to turn off the camera to lower the.
Yeah, I'm sure he can hear that. So yeah, so we'll bring him back, okay? And maybe he thinks he's still talking to us. I'm not quite sure. But while we're waiting for Bilal, can I come back to you, Erica, for a second to talk a little bit about, to reflect on especially the last two comments made by Alejandra and Noemi in relation to, how you ground this stuff in action, and so in your case, can you point to like how do you engage your research interests from your university and take it into communities or take it into the spaces, institutional spaces for environmental peace building? How do you make that happen?
I'm not sure I'm going to hopefully answer this correctly. I mean, let me just ask the question back just to make sure that I'm making sure I'm representing, at least from the university side, like how do universities, because I guess it's not the university who's working in a place. Yeah,
right. So hang on. Let me let me do this. Let me ask Alejandra to try to reframe your comment to Erica, who said that she deliberately went into a space that was engaged with practice.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's how can, I'm not sure, but I think it's how can we create this way of, how can universities like open up the doors for a more practical work that you are, for example, engaged on? So how can universities create this activities or programs that are not a program like master's program, but like an intervention within a community of for promoting practice of the courses and the programs they have?
I mean, so I think there's multiple ways of looking at this, and a lot of this also depends on particular institutions. I would say right now there's a lot of reflection going on in universities to ensure that research isn't extractive. And so I just want to, and I think this is why some of the panels that are taking place at this conference are really important, because I think that is where we are making progress in the field and really looking at our own positionality in the way we do research. And so, like from a practical side like when I work with students in teams and in partnership with communities, and increasing, over the last few years, it's been in communities in the American South, it is done in partnership with members from the community. And I think this is, how, at least, in research, or it's almost an educational research experience that has to be done in partnership, which provides students with, a level of external engagement, but also understanding, the privilege that they come from within the university as they're working, within communities. Then there's the different level of like working with policymakers and having that applied level of research where you may partner with people in governmental institutions. You may partner in writing reports. You may take a leave of absence for a year or two and go into government or an NGO and then come back. And so I think, increasingly universities see benefits in that, in having their faculty, engage more in a policy space, because it informs our own research, but also informs the way we teach. And students, at least from my perspective, like where I sit, the students I have in the classroom, really want to be in conversation with, people who are working on the front lines, both in the policy field, both as activists. So I often, over the last 2 years, because it's all been Zoom, I will bring in different environmental defenders into the Zoom room, or I'll bring in people who are, lead a think tank or work in a think tank, because this allows students to hear from people who are designing the policies that I may be writing about. So I think, there's different ways of grappling in the university of engaging in a policy space. And often it requires being creative and not, and also recognizing that people want to share their experience, and that, these are conversations where we can that they're beneficial for both ways. But I think, first and foremost, for me, when I'm teaching, it's putting students first and letting, having them engage with as many people as possible to hear as many voices across a spectrum. I don't know if that's helpful as what you were thinking when you were asking your question.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the kind of the geography around it, right? Some universities are located in the space where and they are maybe directly engaged around them, right? But then there are others who want to reach out through other networks around the world. And I don't think there's a model, but again, I think to go back to Nico, there's a stock taking need here. What kind of, who's doing what, how are they doing it? And can we put those resources in one spot so that people that are interested in, building this kind of thing can find that kind of information? I think that, if the environmental peace building education interest group could populate a space with these kinds of resources to just allow people to see, so that you don't try to reinvent the wheel. I think this is often the problem, right? And I think one of the things I'm wondering about in terms of environmental peace building is, are the environmental peace builders learning the lessons that the peacemaking building, that crew that came through the early 1990s, all those lessons they had with no environmental involvement at all. What were the lessons learned in trying to be a peacemaker now that we're talking about being environmental peacemakers and peace builders? So there's a real need for a kind of a historical, some kind of a space for us to share, a knowledge portal. Let's put it that way. I don't see Bilal back here. I feel bad about that.
No, I think he's back. He's back. I see him.
Yeah.
Okay, Bilal.
I'm sorry, that was some what happened. Yes, I was talking about my observation as a student of environmental peace building. So I think one was that I think for some, you need to have a knowledge of a bit of the knowledge of geography and sociology, for that matter, and law as well. So that will help a student to explore further the issue of environmental peace building. Second observation is regarding the challenge, you can say, is that there is a difference in terms of the academic point of view and the practitioner's point of view. Even the questions that you need to, the questions that you put as an academician is different in terms of, exploring the idea of it, environmental peace building, as compared to someone who is, not a who does not have the background of academia and is a practitioner. So that also needs to be, taken into consideration, that while you are doing research, so there should be a holistic study that incorporates both practitioners' version and the academic point of view. For instance, in Pakistan, as I talked about, that there is no academic work still available, but people who are, at helm of affairs, who are part of the Indus Water Treaty and who have been, in the government, so they have a different kind of view regarding the environmental peace building. probably if more people from academia, they are doing research, they would have a different version. So that was my observation, that it's different once you are coming from an academic setting, or you are coming from a practitioner's, you're talking about a practitioner's point of view. So while I was doing research, I'm exploring the questions regarding the efficacy of environmental peace building in India and Pakistan. So I'm taking into account both perspectives. I'm trying to reach out to both academic scholars and then to the practitioners. I hope I'm making my point clear. But I see it. There's a slight difference of understanding, or the way your approach is different once you're coming from academic setting and once you're coming from a practitioner's point of view. And that's my observation.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Bilal. To follow that up, and I'm conscious of time, this interesting conversation is already chewed up almost 90 minutes. To follow on from what Bilal has said, and to open it up to a general conversation around questions, I'd like to ask anybody on the panel to reflect on, the fact that given its inter and transdisciplinary character, where does environmental peace building best fit in an academic setting? Bilal has just talked about geography. We haven't heard much about economics, except Nico said money once. We heard a lot about IR, environmental studies. Is there a natural home, or what do we think about if we're trying to think about environmental peace building in a university setting, education and university setting? Like these programs, if we built a program, it has to have an anchor. Is there a natural anchor? Should there be one? What do we think about that? Yes, Nico?
I would say it would depend on two things. One, the faculty, right? The stronghold of the faculty preparedness, and then depending where are they located. And the second one is the stronghold and the kind of identity of the university itself, right? So I come from a university where business economy are the strongest one, and maybe going strategically towards the people where the identity of the university is the strongest one to push, where normally more money is also, right? Then to look into them and to try to build up the faculty, train them, and so on. Otherwise, we could go the kind of longer way to build up the faculty of the departments of the schools that are not so strong, and to give them the tools and the means that they actually step by step build up the careers. But I mean, I would always opt for some multidisciplinarity. As I don't know how it goes at the universities, but the university that I have worked, at least like 3 or 4, or studied, there is always a problem with multidisciplinarity. There's not enough cooperation between the schools and different departments. All right. And Larry, just in the end, please give me 1 minute to connect to the previous point of work with the vulnerable communities. But we can do that as we wrap up this session. Just please. Thanks.
Yes, I just want to, for example, in my case, I studied ecology, as I said, but for example, my program is not in the science faculty, is in a whole another faculty, because what happened is this like economics and like the humanities department actually like take it out from the science department, and it was like a big merge of course the nature and the biological science approach, but then it was a huge intervention of anthropology, sociology, economics, and rural development. And actually the faculty is called environmental studies and rural development. So there's like this like comprehensive view and a lot of a mixture, because it tries to be like this transdisciplinary vision of what ecology is. It's not just in my case, because I know ecology in other for example in other parts of the world is specific to a science department and to this approach, But in Colombia's case, because of our history and because everything that you might already know, they created a program that had a voice to that complexity. So I think, and I agree to Nico, that it really depends on the country, on the university. But I do agree that it comes from a part where, or it should be anchored in a place where transdisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity can be fueled, that they have the chance to do it, and they can talk to other faculties and have these communication channels open to continue creating within this approach.
Okay, thank you. You know, I find, just before I get to Noemi, I'm just looking through the chat, and there's a conversation about bad examples, and I'm not quite sure what the bad examples are. There's two. I can think of two different kinds. There's a bad example of doing environmental peace building that actually has negative impacts, but there's also, in terms of education programs, the bad examples of faddism. And, you know, so I think oftentimes in universities, I like Nico's observation about being strategic, right? There's always a more powerful entity in the university that, and given the transdisciplinary nature of it, maybe that is a natural entry point, because sometimes you get starved of resources, you know, that you can build a program and there's energy for it. But then suddenly it dissipates and it gets shuttered. And I'm wondering if environmental peace building, you know, is it because of the two words, you know, it has a natural kind of, you know, is it the Faculty of Environment or Environmental Science plus minus, you know, sociology, political science, and so on? Is that the natural place, or, you know, do you put it into a business school because, you know, that's the most powerful entity and you need the business aspect to it? So I, you know, and I think we can all have bad examples of where we tried to do one of these things and they've failed. You know, we like to call them magnificent failures because we never do anything by half measures. But anyway, Noemi?
Yes, thank you. Cautious of time, I'm just gonna say that I agree with what has previously been mentioned, and I want to add that what I think is also essential, given that disciplinary nature of environmental peace building, is that there should be, or maybe there are already programs which can educate educators, educate lecturers, so that they can implement environmental peace building into, for example, courses on corporate governance or something. My lecturer, who's also a member of NPACS, she is my public international law teacher, and I only had her for 6 weeks. So that's not a lot of time to learn about such a broad concept when we also need to learn about so many different things. So I feel like as environmental peace building can be involved in so many different fields, it's interesting to give educators the possibility to learn and then teach as applied in their different sectors.
Yeah, thanks. That's great. You know, and you mentioned corporate governance. You could, you know, I mean, what is, you know, what isn't necessary for effective environmental peace building? That's why I was asking Erica about parameters around the MOOC. All right, we're out of time, so let me give Nicola. Hang on, Sabrina, go ahead. You're okay?
It's fine. I was just following the conversation in the chat, but
no, please do so. Please do so. I can give up on my time. Please, Sabrina.
No, Nicola, come on.
Okay, go ahead, Nicola.
All right. So in the preparation for this panel, I also optimistically went and I reached out to the communities, right? I did a series of interviews with activists, with Amnesty International representatives, with the researchers, and actually with indigenous community representatives, because I was really motivated with this, and that's exactly where I want to take my research and my future projects, thanks to the conversation I had with Carl. It turns out, actually, there was a few points that all of the representatives of the vulnerable communities brought to me. We want these projects to be a two-way communication. We don't want you to come to us and to offer us half-fetched solutions built up on the previous experiences. We want you to listen to us. right? And particularly they were interested, the interest of them joining and doing the projects increase as we talk about the young students, particularly undergraduate students, the community that would be ready and open up for this communication and to listen to them. So not to do the surveys, not to do really the research about them, but to engage into a mutual exchange, which then makes us need to do a very good planning on how to pull this out and what is it that we want to do in our educational programs and the field work. What is the final product or objective that we want to achieve? But we have to shape it in a way that both of us, the groups, vulnerable groups, indigenous groups, and us are on the receiving end. We have to be super careful with the promises. So I see already a problem here. When I want to present the project of this to my leaders, to the universities, I have to make these bombastic, super high-end goals that we want to achieve, right? Big project promises. But we have to be super careful with what we then deliver to the vulnerable, to the communities, as their own expectations. So there's no gap in between what we write down as a promise and then what we go to the community and what we actually do, which usually lowers down is lower scale because we are talking here about the education of undergrads. So for me to get the funds, I have to make big promises, but when I go to the communities, I have to scale them down because I know that I'm not going to be able to deliver what I promised in the original project. So the expectations are very important here because often it turns out that these groups are being given promises of advocacy. Amnesty International, it turns out that actually was doing a great job, but often failing actually because they needed the data for their own research, for their own publications, but they couldn't really bring any benefits to the communities themselves. And we are talking about people who then engage with organizations with certain expectations that are going to get back from it. It turns out the most important part, at least in Mexico, is direct communications with the leaders of the communities. Having access straight to the leaders is the #1 requirement of the feasibility of these projects.
All right, thanks. Thanks so much for that, Nicola. Perhaps as the newly elected co-chair of the Environmental Peacebuilding Education Interest Group, along with Nancy Boyer, that Nicola, you could take us out and wrap us up because we're out of time. So why don't you just, give thanks, not just to Carl, but because we're all thankful for Carl. Personally, I'm very thankful for everybody in this conversation, and it's been great. It's clear that this is such a big challenge that any point, when I tell my students, my first-year students, I said the world is in such a mess. That's a good thing because 1, you'll always have a job, and 2, just pick an entry point and go in. Just go in. And I feel like we're at that same space right now in trying to figure out what we do with this thing that we're all interested in. So Nico, last word to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Larry and Nancy. Nancy, thank you very much for organizing this roundtable. It was actually your idea, and Larry then picked it up and organized it very well. This is a great invitation to the rest of the people who joined us here, whether you are a member of the NPACs or you are not, to join the NPACs, and then a great invitation. This is the dynamic that we try to achieve within the education interest group, and we try to build up on the experience and the knowledge of the more seasoned, experienced, to connect it with the youngsters like us, Sabrina, Noemi, and myself, and to make something out of it. To use the enthusiasm of the young ones together with the experience of the seasoned. We have great projects oncoming that we can share. We often talk about it, from the new MOOCs to the podcasts. So there's a lot of things happening, and actually trying to wrap up and bring together the overview of different educational offers, and hopefully actually a pool of information about scholarships. So many thanks. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference as much as I am enjoying it, whether as a panelist or actually as a listener. Thanks a lot, and I wish you all the best in the pandemic, the health, and learning a lot these days.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. And yeah, and we'll see you at the next session around at the top of the hour, I suppose. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.